All right, okay, coming to multi-step equations with interval notation and line graph. So if you read up here, interval notation is another way of expressing the answer to an inequality. It uses parentheses and brackets to show where the graph starts and where it ends. So we've done a lot of interval notation in the previous section. So hopefully we've learned or are learning how to do it. All right. Parentheses, now this is a little bit more in detail. Parentheses mean not included or open, meaning whatever number that open circle is on is not actually part of what's shaded in. Okay? So like if an open circle is on 2 and then you shade to the right, well, everything to the right is included, but the 2 is not, because it's an open circle at 2. Now, the brackets, it says brackets mean included or closed. Used when a graph starts or ends on a closed circle. So, for example, if it's a bracket, if it's a closed circle on 2, and it's shaded to the right, everything to the right is part of the answer. 2 is also part of the answer because it's a closed circle. All right, so now the line below it, it says always use blank with infinity or negative infinity. Okay, always use parentheses. All right, that's what you're going to use. Always use parentheses. Okay, number 1. So this is just like any other problems that we've been doing in the past. It's just that they're inequality problems. So they work the same way. They're solved the same way. So obviously we have a parenthesis we need to distribute. I think most everybody probably saw that right off the bat. So we get 4x. 4 times 3 is 12. Is greater than negative 24. All right? Down to a 2-step problem, so we need to subtract the 12. That's now gone. We get 4x is greater than negative 36. Divide by 4. X is greater than negative 9. Okay, so we have our answer. Now what we're going to do is we're going to come over and we're going to graph it. So we'll put 0 in the middle. We'll say negative 9 is right here. It's an open circle because there's no line underneath my sign right here. No line underneath it. All right. Big mouth facing the X, so we're going to shade to the right. And we've been doing interval notation, so hopefully we know how to do this by now. All right, where does my graph start on the far left? It starts at negative 9. Open circle means parenthesis. Where does my graph end on the right? It ends at the arrow. Okay, the arrow is infinity, which is always a parenthesis. Number 2. So what we need to do on this one is we need to distribute the negative 3. The x just drops down. Negative 3 times x is negative 3x. Negative 3 times 2 is negative 6. Is greater than 4. Now if you remember, we don't want any more than 2 terms on any one side. Well, we have 3 over here on the left side. So we need to 3 words combine like terms. So 1 minus 3 is negative 2x. Drop down the negative 6 is greater than 4. So now what we need to do is we need to add the 6 to the other side. That's now gone. And I'm running out of room. So negative 2x is greater than 10. So I'm going to bring this up here. So negative 2x is greater than 10. We're going to divide by negative 2. the key word is divide by a negative 2, which means that we need to flip the sign. Anytime that you divide by a negative, you flip the sign. All right, answer is negative 5. So now we're going to graph it. All right, so 0 in the middle. We'll say negative 5's right here. And it's an open circle again. But this time, the pointy part is facing the X, so we're going to shade left. Interval notation. Where does my graph start on the far left? It starts at negative infinity, which is always a parenthesis. It goes to negative 5. It's an open circle. Open circle means parenthesis. All right, number 3. Okay, on number 3. So we've got this problem. We've got a negative 2 right next to the parentheses. So you know what that means. Drop down the 7x, and we're going to distribute the negative 2. So negative 2 times x is negative 2x. Negative 2 times negative 4 is positive 8. Drop down your less than or equal to. Drop down your negative 2. 3 terms on the left side. We don't want 3 terms on the left side. We only want 2. 3 words, combine like terms. So we're going to combine our x's. 7 minus 2 is 5. Drop down the plus 8. So now, second to last step, it's 2-step problem left. Subtract 8. We get 5x is less than or equal to negative 10. Divide by 5. Okay, x is less than or equal to negative 2. Why did I not flip the sign? I did not flip the sign because that's a positive 5. I'm not dividing by a negative. I'm dividing by a positive. So keep that in mind. Yes, I got a negative answer, but I don't care about the answer. Okay? If I'm going to flip the sign, I have to be dividing by a negative. All right? So obviously that's why I did not flip the sign. Okay, so let's go to our graph. Plotted at negative 2. It is a closed circle. Pointy part is facing the X, so we're going to shade left again. Interval notation. Where do we start on the far left? We start the arrow, which is negative infinity. Negative infinity is always a parenthesis. Where does my graph stop? It stops at negative 2. Closed circle means bracket. All right, number 4. So again, we're going to distribute. So negative 8 times x is negative 8x. Negative 8 times negative 1 is positive 8. Drop down the negative x. Drop down the less than or equal to. Drop down the negative 28. We have 3 terms on the left side. We do not want 3 terms on the left side. We only want 2. So we're going to combine like terms. All right, so negative 8 minus 1 is negative 9x. Drop down the plus 8. So now we're going to subtract 8. That's now gone. We get negative 9x is less than or equal to negative 36. And this time we are going to divide by a negative number. So now we have to flip the sign. Negative over negative is a positive, so 36 divided by 9 is 4. So there's our answer. So we'll put 4 about right there. Closed circle, because there's a line underneath the sign. This time it's big mouth facing the X, so we're going to shade to the right. Interval notation. Where does my shaded graph start on the left? It starts at 4. Closed circle means bracket. Where does it end? It ends at the arrow. All right, the arrow is positive infinity. The infinities are always a parenthesis. Again, it kind of rhymes. So there's 1 through 4 at a glance. All right, number 5. Okay, this one right here. Problems get a little bit tougher. So, again, these are multi-step. So, going back to kind of what we did last semester, or I'm sorry, not last semester, last unit. Okay, so we've got an x on the left and an x on the right of our inequality. So remember, when you have 2 and 2, and you got a letter on each side of the symbol, we need to get our letters to one side. So you can either subtract the 6x, or you can add the 2x. If it were me, I would add the 2x. So that's now gone. We get 8x plus 1 is less than 9. So now we're going to subtract 1. We get 8x is less than 8. Divide by 8. X is less than 1. All right, so we have our answer. So 1 would be right there. Blow it up a little bit. Open circle. Pointy part is facing the X, so we're going to shade to the left. Okay, interval notation. So where does my graph start on the far left? It starts at the arrow, so that would be negative infinity, which is always a parenthesis. Where does my graph stop? It stops at 1, and open circle means parenthesis. Solve graph notation, 3 different things. All right, number 6, same type of problem. So here we are, 2 terms on the left, 2 terms on the right. We need to get our x's all to one side. So you can either subtract the 2x or subtract the 5x. I'm going to subtract the 2x. So we get negative 1 is less than or equal to 3x plus 20. All right, so subtract 20. We get negative 21 is less than or equal to 3x. Now, we're going to divide by a positive 3, meaning no, we're not going to flip the sign. So my answer is negative 7 is less than or equal to x. All right? Now, you notice that on this one, the x actually ended up on the right. But if you've been watching the videos or listening in class, you've been hearing me say that big mouth facing the X, you always shade right. Pointy part facing the X, you always shade left. So it does not matter which side the X is on. All right, so let's go ahead and plot. So put our 0. Let's say negative 7's right there. It is going to be a closed circle. All right, so because there's a line underneath my symbol. So closed circle. Now let's take a look at it. What is facing the X? The big mouth is facing the X. So we're going to shade to the right. Remember, big mouth facing the X, you always shade right. Pointy part facing the X, you always shade left. Really simple. All right, so now, where does my graph start on the far left? It starts at negative 7. Closed circle means bracket. Where does it end? It ends on the far right. So that would be infinity, which is always a parenthesis. All right, number 7. Okay, on number 7, so on this one right here, we've got a negative sign. Now, what is technically in front of that negative sign? Yep, you guessed it. It's technically a -1. All right? So we're going to go ahead and drop the 3 down, and we're going to distribute the -1. All right? So -1 times 2x is -2x. -1 times -7 is +7. Drop that down. Drop down the 34. Drop down the 6x. We've got 2 terms on the right, but we've also got 3 terms on the left. We don't want that. We want 2 terms on the left. Remember, we want 2 and 2. So we need to combine like terms on the left side. We can combine these two right here. 3 plus 7 is 10. I'm going to go ahead and drop down my 2x, and then I'm going to put plus 10, because that's a positive 10. And the other side just drops down. Whoops. That would be a negative right there. All right. So now we got 2 choices. We can either add the 2 over, or we can add the 6 over. If it was me, I would add the 6 over. So that's now gone. We get 4x plus 10 less than or equal to 34. Down to a 2-step equation. So we're going to subtract 10. We get 4x is less than or equal to 24. And yep, I'm out of room. So I'm going to bring it up over here. 4x is less than or equal to 24. And then divide by 4. X is less than or equal to 6. That's my answer. All right. So 0, there would be 6. Closed circle because it's got a line underneath it. Pointy part is facing the X, so shade left. Interval notation. Where does my graph start on the far left? It starts at -infinity, which is always a parenthesis. Where does it stop? It stops at the closed circle, which is 6. And closed circle means bracket. Solve graph notation. All right, number 8. Okay, on number 8 right here. So we've got a little bit more difficult one right here. So we need to obviously distribute first, because remember, that parenthesis is like a neon sign, okay, just kind of shining at you. So we need to do that first. So -3 times x is -3x. -3 times 2 is -6. Drop down the -3x. All right, drop down the sign. Drop down the 2x. And the plus 18. So what we've got is we've got 3 terms on the left, 2 terms on the right. It's not what we want. We want 2 and 2. So we need to combine like terms, meaning we need to combine our x's. -3 minus 3 is -6 x. And then the -6 drops down, as well as my 2x plus 18. All right? So now you got 2 choices. You can subtract the 2, or you can add the 6. If it were me, I would add the 6. That's what I would do. That's now gone. 2 plus 6 is 8x plus 18. So now what we're going to do is we're going to subtract 18 to the other side. And yep, I'm running out of room. Okay, so -6 minus 18 is -24, so I'm going to put it up here. And I'm going to copy my symbol and my 8x. Last step, divide by 8. Okay, I get -3 is less than x. Now again, I know that my x is on the right. Okay, but it does not make any difference. All right, you just have to remember, big mouth facing the X, shade right. pointy part facing the x, shade left. So obviously, we have -3. It is a open circle because there's no line underneath. Big mouth facing the x, so we're going to shade to the right. All right, where does my graph start on the far left? It starts at the open circle, which is -3. Open circle means parenthesis. Where does it end on the far right? It ends at infinity, meaning the arrow, which is always a parenthesis. Number 9. Okay, getting close to the end of it here. So on number 9, we've got 2 parentheses that we need to get rid of first. So let's start on the left side first. So this 5x can just drop down, and we're going to distribute the -3. So -3 times x is -3x. -3 times 6 is -18. Drop down your symbol. Now on the other side, what is technically in front of that parenthesis with that negative sign? Yeah, you guessed it. That's technically a -1. So the 8 is just going to drop down. And we're going to distribute a -1. So -1 times x is -1x. -1 times -7 is +7. So now let's look at what we got. Wow, we got 3 terms on the left, 3 terms on the right. We do not want 3 terms on each side, okay? We want 2 terms on each side. So what we're going to do is we're going to combine like terms. So 5 minus 3 would be 2x. Drop down the -18. And on the other side, we can combine the numbers. 8 and 7. So 8 plus 7 is 15. So we're going to drop down the -1x, and then we're going to put plus 15 because 8 plus 7 is +15. All right? So now you got 2 choices. Now that we've got 2 and 2, you can either, excuse me, you can either subtract the 2x or you can add the 1x. I'm going to add the 1x. That's what I would do. That's now gone. You get 3x minus 18 is greater than or equal to 15. So now we need to get rid of the 18. We need to add it over, which that's going to be 33. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy my 3x right here. And then my greater than or equal to sign. And then 15 plus 18 is 33. Divide by 3. X is greater than or equal to 11. All right? So now, 0 in the middle, 11's right here. All right? So, closed circle. Big mouth facing the X, so we're shading to the right. Notation, where does my graph start? On the far left. It starts at 11. Closed circle means bracket. It goes to the arrow, which is infinity, and that's always a parenthesis. Last one for multi-step equations. Okay, number 10. So again, what we've got is we've got 2 parentheses. So we need to get rid of the parentheses first, meaning we need to distribute. So let's focus on the one on the left first. So I've asked this question a couple times already. We saw it on the previous problem. We got a negative sign right next to a parenthesis. What is technically in front of the parenthesis? Yep, you guessed it, a -1. So we're going to distribute, and I didn't draw that real good. Okay, we're going to distribute a -1. So -1 times 3x is negative 3x. Negative 1 times 3 is negative 3. And then we're just going to drop down the negative 2x and our sign. Now we need to distribute on the other side. So we're going to distribute the negative 4. Negative 4 times x is negative 4x. Negative 4 times negative 2 is positive 8. Drop down the minus 2. All right? So now, 3 terms on the left, 3 terms on the right. That's not what we want. We want 2 and 2. So we need to combine like terms. So on the left side, we're going to combine our x's. Negative 3 minus 2 is negative 5x. And then the negative 3 just drops down. On the right side, we can actually combine our numbers. So the negative 4x drops down. 8 minus 2 is 6. That would be a positive 6. All right, so now we're down to 2 and 2. So now we got choices. We can either add the 5x over to the negative 4x, or we can add the negative 4x over to the negative 5x. If it were me, okay, what I would do is I would add the 5x. Now, that's just what I would do. You can do what you want to do. There's multiple ways to do this problem. So basically, what we've got is negative 4 plus 5 is 1x. All right, drop down the positive 6. So now what we've got is we're going to subtract 6, which is negative 9 is greater than 1x, divide by 1, and we get negative 9 is greater than x. I know the x is on the right. It's fine. Okay, you just have to know which part is facing the x. So negative 9 would be right here. It is an open circle, and pointy part is facing the x, so that means shade left. All right, so now, where do we start on the far left? We start at negative infinity, meaning the arrow, which is always a parenthesis, meaning negative infinity is always a parenthesis. Where do we go to? We stop at the open circle, which is negative 9. Open circle means parenthesis. Okay, and here's our problems at a glance, 1 through 10. So that concludes multi-step inequalities with line graphs and interval notation.